Welcome back to another Disneyland Hotel Diary. In our search for the best places to stay, we sometimes find hidden gems, but other times, we find a major red flag. Today, we are putting the Anaheim Maingate Inn under the microscope.
You know that feeling, right? You're buzzing with excitement, planning your Disneyland trip. You've got your park days figured out. You know exactly which snacks you're going to get. Then comes the one decision that can make or break everything.
And that's the thing, picking the wrong hotel can absolutely derail your whole vacation. It can turn those magical memories you were hoping for into a straight-up travel disaster.
So, let's talk about the Anaheim Maingate Inn. Now, when you first look it up, it seems like it's got it all figured out. I mean, the location is right there by the park, and it promises all this convenience. But then, you see this number, and it's a jaw-dropper, a 2.1 out of 5. That's a poor rating from over 200 different reviews. Seriously, that's a number you just can't ignore.
And it's not just a low rating. It's ranked dead last. I'm talking number 31 out of all 31 motels in the entire city of Anaheim, the absolute bottom of the barrel.
So that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth can a hotel with such a perfect location fail so spectacularly in the eyes of its guests? Well, today, we're going to find out.
Okay, let's dive right in, starting with the hotel's biggest and, frankly, its only real selling point, the location. And you can't argue with it, it's a 10 to 15-minute walk to the main gate. That means no waiting for shuttles, no paying for parking, and, this is a huge one, you can easily walk back for a midday nap. For a lot of people, that alone is a game changer.
So, the location is a definite win. But what about the actual room? You know, the place you're supposed to relax after a super long day at the parks? Well, let's just say this is where the whole thing starts to fall apart.
All right, let's peel back the curtain. Let's forget the official marketing photos and look at the raw, unfiltered experiences that actual guests have shared.
And wow, these pictures tell a story. On the left, you've got a door frame that looks like it's been forced open. And on the right, an unmarked curb that one guest said caused them to have a really bad fall. These aren't just little complaints. These are real safety hazards. This review from a guest named Tim W. just sums it all up perfectly, doesn't it? He mentions a constant sewer smell, the safety issues we're seeing, and just a total lack of helpful or even honest customer service.
And the problems go from big safety issues down to things that are just plain bizarre and frustrating. Take a look at the electrical situation. Guests say there are hardly any outlets, and the ones that exist are in the worst spots. You'd probably need to bring your own power strips just to charge your phones.
As one person hilariously put it, just trying to turn on a lamp was like solving a puzzle in an escape room, and that is not what you want to be dealing with after walking 12 hours around Disneyland.
And on top of all the safety and weird functional issues, there's just a general feeling of yuck. Stained wallpaper, dirt, and just a real lack of cleaning seem to be a recurring theme in what guests are showing us.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting, because in this sea of just awful, awful feedback, there are a few people who say they had a totally different experience.
But let's be crystal clear about the numbers. This chart breaks it all down. If you combine the terrible and poor reviews, that's nearly 70% of all the feedback. The negative voices here are, well, they're overwhelming.
And yet somehow you get reviews like this one from Sismanu. They call it a perfect location with a spotless room and say they just don't get the bad reviews. It's so confusing. It's like they stayed at a completely different hotel.
Okay, before we deliver our final verdict on this super puzzling hotel, if you find these deep dives helpful, do me a favor and take a second to subscribe and like. It really helps us keep digging into these places for you. So what in the world are you supposed to make of all this? Is this hotel a secret deal or a vacation nightmare just waiting to happen? All right, let's lay out the final verdict.
This slide really lays out the problem perfectly. The promise versus the reality. The great location? That's true, it's undeniable. But the promise of being budget-friendly kind of falls apart when you hear about faulty alarms, rude staff, and safety problems. It feels like a classic case of a place that knows it has a great location and just doesn't try with anything else.
So who should stay here? Well, you might consider it if you're on an absolute rock-bottom, shoestring budget, and location is literally the only thing you care about. But if things like cleanliness, safety, and basic customer service matter to you at all, you should definitely avoid it. The takeaway is simple. The risk of having a terrible time here is extremely high.
And that really leaves us with the one final question you have to ask yourself. Based on everything we've seen, is saving a little bit of money worth the very real risk of ruining your entire trip?
That's the gamble you'd be taking.